You did everything right. You worked for decades. You saved your money. You paid off your debt. You ran the numbers. And now? Well, now you're retired. So why does it still feel uncertain? That quiet 2 a.m. thought, are we really going to be okay? You know, that feeling isn't random. In retirement, uncertainty it's either a warning sign or it's your brain adjusting to a world without paychecks. And knowing the difference really matters. You know, for decades you lived in structure. There was a paycheck, a routine. You had forward motion going. The ability to fix a mistake by earning more money. If something went wrong, you had options in life. You could work more. You could earn more. You could recover. Retirement flips that overnight. Now you're spending instead of earning. You're watching balances instead of building them. You're making decisions without a reset button. You know, that shift is bigger than most people expect. You didn't just lose income. You lost certainty. Retirees, they don't notice that shift at first. The first few months, they feel fine. There's relief, there's freedom, maybe even excitement. But then something small happens. A higher electric bill pops up. The market takes a dip. Car needs to be repaired. And suddenly it doesn't feel so small. Actually, it feels symbolic. It feels like proof that something might be slipping. That's not math, though. That's your brain reacting to lost certainty. If you don't recognize that reaction, you interpret it as danger instead of transition. And that misunderstanding is where anxiety grows. Let's slow this down for a minute. When you were working, control meant effort. It meant more income. There was a direct relationship between what you did and what happened. In retirement, that relationship changes. You can be disciplined. You can be very careful. You can be thoughtful about things. And the market can still move up or down. You can plan carefully, and inflation can shift just like the wind. Effort no longer guarantees outcome. That disconnect creates psychological tension. Your brain still wants control, but the type of control, it's changed. This is what I call the control gap, the space between what you used to control and what you can control now. If you don't shrink that gap intentionally, anxiety is going to fill it automatically. Until you redefine control from earning power to decision power, uncertainty is going to linger. That shift is subtle, but it's powerful. You know, a gentleman told me recently, he said, Brian, our numbers say we're fine, but I still check our account every day. Not because they were in trouble, because it feels different. Watching money go down instead of up. Folks, that's the emotional adjustment nobody prepares you for. You prepare for retirement financially, but very few people prepare psychologically. And when you name that difference, things start to settle down. Now here's something critical. Not all retirement anxiety means the same thing. You know, there's 3 types, and confusing them keeps people stuck for a long time. You got the math problem. This is the real financial one. Do I actually have enough money? Is my withdrawal rate too high? What happens if the market drops? Folks, this one requires numbers and clarity. Ignoring this one is risky. If it's math, solve the math. The identity shift, who am I without work? What do I do with my time? Why does this feel off? This isn't about money. Trying to solve identity with spreadsheets, it just won't fix it. Then you've got the new territory effect. You're doing something unfamiliar. Even if you're doing it correctly. You know, the first time you drove, it felt uncertain. First time you bought a house, definitely felt uncertain. Folks, new territory always does. The mistake retirees make, they treat all 3 as the same problem. Solve the wrong problem, and the anxiety stays. That's why this matters. So here's how you shrink the control gap. Ask yourself 3 honest questions. Do I know my baseline number? That's the exact monthly amount you need for stability. Not a rough guess, not around this much, the real actual number. For example, if your essential monthly spending is $3,800 and your guaranteed income is $4,200, folks, that's not instability, that's surplus. But if you don't clearly see those numbers side by side, your brain won't register stability. It's going to register unknown. And unknown always feels risky. Clarity reduces fear. Guessing just fuels it. Second question, do I feel guilty spending money? Well, if groceries, travel, or replacing something necessary makes you uneasy, that may be conditioning, not danger. You spent decades being rewarded for saving. Spending now can just feel wrong, even when it isn't. And the third question, do I feel a loss of purpose? If the money's fine, but something still feels off, folks, that's transition. That's not financial collapse. You got 3 causes, 3 different solutions. You got to treat them correctly. Now, here's what restores calm. Know your baseline number. Clarity is going to quiet your fears. Create a simple spending plan. Structure replaces uncertainty. Build a small cushion. Even $500 is going to change behavior because it's going to signal safety. Add routine back into your life. You know, retirement without structure just feels like drifting. When you schedule a weekly 10-minute money review, a monthly spending check, a regular social routine, a physical rhythm in your life, you replace drifting with direction. And direction feels stable. And most important, instead of asking, are we going to be okay? Ask, is this a math problem or an adjustment? That single question changes how you respond. Let me say this clearly. Feeling uncertain in retirement, it doesn't mean you failed. But ignoring persistent uncertainty without examining it, folks, that's where mistakes happen. Pay attention to the feeling, name it if you need to, then solve the right problem. Retirement isn't a math problem alone. It's a transition, and transitions, they feel unstable until you understand them. And if you want to go deeper on this, especially the smart ways retirees save money, beyond the grocery store anyways, folks, I'm hosting a live conversation this Tuesday night, February 24th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Folks, bring your questions or just come and listen. We're going to walk through real examples together. And if any part of this brought you clarity today, tell me which part. You know, your comment helps other retirees too. They feel less alone. And really, I do read every single comment. And if you want more calm, more clarity, and fewer 2 a.m. worries, subscribe and stay with us. I think we're building something pretty steady here. Folks, thanks for spending some of your day with me today, and I'll see you in the next video.